Welcome to A Slob Comes Clean, the podcast. I'm Dana White, and I blog almost every day as Noni over at aslobcomesclean.com. That's where I share my personal deslobification process. As I figure out ways to get my own home under control, I share the truth about cleaning and organizing strategies that actually work in real life for real people who don't necessarily love cleaning and organizing. Thanks for joining me today. This is podcast number 61. And I am talking about decluttering without getting distracted. But before I do that, I want to remind you that my ebook, Teaching Kids to Clean, is on sale through the end of May for $3 using the code TEACH. I will put the link to that into the show notes for this podcast. To find the show notes for podcast number 61, go to aslobcomesclean.com/podcasts with an S and scroll down to the bottom and find number 61. Most likely, if you're listening to this, I'm just being honest here. If you're listening to this by the time, before that sale is actually over at the end of May, there's a fairly decent chance that number 61 will not be directly linked on that page. But you can go to the bottom where it says, see all my podcasts here, and click on that. And that will take you to all of my podcasts. And if you're way behind and you want to do number 61 and it's not there on the first page that you get to, just click to the bottom and see older posts. Really, it's like I have no faith in myself that I'm going to get that updated. But honestly, this is a crazy time of year. It is May, and things are happening like, hey, Mom, I've got a field trip tomorrow and the teacher wanted to know if you could go. And I'm like, I'm sorry, why are you telling me this now? I'm exaggerating. Really, it was 2 days away. Anyway, this kind of stuff happens a lot lately, this time of year. Oh, so I think I have all of next week open. Wait, no, I've got a doctor's appointment here. Oh, and then I've got this thing. So it's just a little bit crazy. So more than my normal brand of crazy. I really doubt I'll get that updated, but eventually I will. So now that I've rambled about that for a few minutes, I'm going to talk about decluttering without distraction. And I'm going to admit it, everything I did right there that proved my own ADD was just purely an example. It wasn't like I was really rambling or really distracted. Just kidding, I was. But it was a great example of how things work in my brain, and how distraction is a guarantee in my world. If there's one thing I can tell you will absolutely for sure happen, it's that I'm going to get distracted. And that is the beauty of my two decluttering questions. I'm just going to go ahead and call them brilliant. Not because I'm brilliant, but just because they work. And here's what I always say. I have seen lists of 8 to 10 decluttering questions. That is great if you have one or two things that you need to get rid of in your house and you really have like an hour to spend thinking about whether or not you want to keep it. I had so much stuff in my house. I talked about that in my last podcast. I had so much stuff in my house to get rid of. I didn't have time to ask myself 8 or 10 questions about each thing. I flat out did not have time. We're talking huge amounts of stuff have left my home, and huge amounts of stuff continue to leave my home because magically it's like we're a clutter magnet here. Anyway, so I have experience and I have practice. And when we're talking about getting lots of stuff gone, boiling it down to 2 questions is really important. So the 2 questions are, number 1, if I was looking for this item, where would I look for it first? Okay. This goes ahead and answers the, do I need to keep it? Do I not? Whatever. Because it's a gut reaction. There's not, where should I look for it first? So letting go of all those crazy things that we think are the way that organized people's homes operate. Because guess what? I'm not an organized person. So I have to figure out how my home can function in my family's life. So I need to figure out, where would I look for this first? There's no analysis there. There's no big hemming and hawing. It's purely the gut reaction of, if I needed this, where would I go to look for it first? Well, I'd go here. Even though in my mind, I might think, oh, well, that's not the best place for me to look for it. But realistically, that's where we look for it. My example I use is fingernail clippers. Everybody knows they should go in the bathroom drawer. But in my family, we look in the junk drawer in the kitchen first. That's where we look. So even though every time I would put them away before, I would take them to the bathroom drawer. What ended up happening was in our normal everyday life, we would look in the kitchen junk drawer first, and then we would go look in the bathroom drawer. So I just cut out that middleman step, basically, in our life and just said, you know what? Where would I look for it first? And I let myself go with that instinct. And it really has solved a lot of problems. The number two, and the other part of that, here's the big part that we're going to talk about today. Another demonstration of distraction. Okay, so the second part of that question is take it there right now. So it's not really a question, but it goes along with that. So where would I look for it first and take it there right now? That is everything. This is the thing that allows me to not have anything left over to do when I get distracted, because I will get distracted. It's just life. I mean, even for people who aren't like me and easily distractible, when you have kids, it's just life. Somebody starts bleeding, or somebody needs something, or, oh my goodness, it's time for me to go pick up so-and-so, or whatever. Distractions happen. And that was my big frustration with decluttering before I figured out how to do it right. I thought that I couldn't declutter because every time I decluttered, I just made a bigger mess. Well, the way I don't make a bigger mess is by taking the item where it goes right now, one at a time. As I come across the item, I ask myself, where would I look for this first? And then I go take it there right now. That way, I don't have any keep piles. I don't have a keep box. My garage and my attic are full of keep boxes. There are fewer now because we've tried to get through them. But realistically, keep boxes are just procrastination boxes. They're just things that I want to deal with later because I don't want to deal with them right now. But if I will go ahead and deal with it right now, take it where it goes right now, then it's done. And when I get distracted, I've made progress and I have less stuff in this space that I'm decluttering than I did before. And there's no stuff outside of the space. It's just done. Okay. There's less in there. And so that's decluttering success. As long as stuff leaves your home, that's decluttering success. And if I can't answer the question, where would I look for it first? Usually that's because of the reason I have the second question, which is, would I even have known that I had this? Would I have even looked for it? If you can't answer, where would I look for this first? It's probably because you wouldn't even look for it because you didn't know you had it. And if you weren't going to look for it, then you would have gone out and bought another one anyway. So it's the would have. I have had people, I'll go ahead and answer this real quick, but I have had people ask with the second question, but I'm seeing it, so I know I have it. And I'm like, yes, but would you have known that you had it? Because if you hadn't known you had it, then you wouldn't have even looked for it and you would have gone out and bought another one. So it's that. And the deal is, if you didn't know you had it, if I didn't know I had it, I stick it in the donate box, even though that's extremely painful. But okay, so we're going with the first decluttering question. Where would I look for it first? And then take it there right now. So we avoid any kind of procrastination piles or procrastination boxes, which are what keep boxes really are. Okay, so take it there right now. Well, here is a concern that has been expressed to me. And that is, what if I get there to the place where I would look for it first, and that space is completely unorganized? Or what if I get there and there is no room in this space where I'm supposed to take it? And so then I have to deal with that space before, and then I never end up finishing the space that I started with. Okay. I get it. Okay. I'm the person who every single space in my entire home was completely cluttered. So I get it. I get what that's like. So this is about how to not get distracted from decluttering projects by other decluttering projects. Okay. Taking it there right now is everything. But what if you get there and the place where I need to take it the place where I'd look for it first, is a disaster. Okay, so the example that I used in a post recently, which if you subscribe to Daily Deslobification blogcast, you have heard that post in audio form. You can search for that in iTunes or go to my blog and find that. But okay, so the example that I used was some, what are they called? Pipe cleaners. Yes, pipe cleaners. Everybody needs pipe cleaners. I didn't have any pipe cleaners. I'm pretty sure I've decluttered some in the past. But I was clearing off my dining room table, which, let's just be honest, some normal people just call, I don't know, cleaning house. I personally call that a decluttering project. So I was cleaning off my dining room table and was determined to take everything where it went. Where would I look for it first? I was going to take it there right now. Well, this was something new in my house. Pipe cleaners, and my son had used them to make a cell project for his science class, and so they were on the dining room table. I needed to put them away, and so I said, well, where would I look for these first? I would look in my game room. I have a dresser in there that the kids, like gaming TV, they don't do a lot of gaming, but they do some. Anyway, that the Xbox and stuff is on top of. So there's a dresser in the game room. And that is where I've been putting craft supplies. And that is where I have been looking for craft supplies when I need them lately. So this was a craft supply. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go put this where it goes, where I would look for it first. And I get there. Well, I get there. And as tends to happen in my house, half the drawers were open on this dresser. And I look over at this drawer and I see all my little paint bottles. I am pretty sure I bought I think for like $3, I bought 20 half-empty paint bottles at a garage sale back in my major garage selling days. So I look over there, and at one point, I remember putting all these paint bottles neatly into this drawer. And yet here it is hanging open, and they are a huge mess. I mean, just topsy-turvy. That is its own decluttering project to deal with right now. And I know for a fact, I mean, it's been since this 13-year-old who did the science project was probably 3 that I bought those, the majority of them. I mean, I've added to it over the years because that's where I would look for paint first. But those paints, I guarantee you there's some that are empty, some that are dried up, whatever. That could be its own decluttering project. Instead of doing that, I just shut the drawer and I put the pipe cleaners in the drawer where I would think that I would look for them first. I mean, I know I would look in that cabinet, in that dresser first. And so I said, okay, well, this is the one where I'm going to put these, and I open up that drawer that I'm going to put them in. And yeah, it's a mess too, but that's not what I'm working on right now. So I just let myself close the drawers and put the pipe cleaners in there. And that's not my project for right now. I'm just going to go back to this. I'm just going to go ahead and stick it in there. Even though it's not perfect. Even though it needs its own day focused on that drawer. Oh, well, that's not my project for today. I'm just going to stick it in there imperfectly, shut the drawer, and go back to the one that I was working on. Then the other question, which is a much more legitimate concern and something that really is a stop for, something that will stop you in your tracks from making decluttering progress. So on this table as well, this was back from when we'd had some snow days, and we had tried a puzzle. I am not a puzzle person. Really, I'm not. But I was trying to be a puzzle person. I was trying to act like a puzzle person in front of my kids who totally know that I'm not a puzzle person. Anyway, so we had tried this puzzle. And we'd actually done fairly decently at it. And then life happens before anyway. So it was time to put the puzzle away. So I had this box of a puzzle. And it was one, I had purposely tried to keep together the sections that we had worked on so that in the future, we won't have to start from absolutely nothing. So anyway, this was a puzzle that we really did want to keep. We had enjoyed it. We hadn't finished it, but maybe we would someday. And anyway. So I had this puzzle. Well, so puzzles in our house go in the game cabinet, which is also in the game room. It's a different cabinet. That game cabinet, I despise. I mean, really, I cannot stand that game cabinet. If you've been around my blog for a long time, you've probably seen quite a few different, webisodes, videos, posts about that same game cabinet. I do not care for it. It's a nice way to say it. The reason is it's just a black hole. It really is kind of that stick. It's always been that stick it in there place when I don't know what else to do with it. And I've never fully, completely decluttered it, even in this whole process, because I go in there and it's like all these things that it's like the gathering place for head explosions. I mean, I have my head explosion rule. If it makes my head want to explode, get rid of it. Well, this is just this cabinet that's full of head explosions. But I do know that we have games in there, and that's where I would go look for games first. So I'm going to take this puzzle, to the game cabinet where I would look for it first. I get there. There's no room for this puzzle. I don't even know how there's no room when I'm pretty sure we took it out of there. I don't even know. Maybe this one was in my husband's closet. I don't know, because I think it was given to him. Anyway, so I need to put this puzzle in this cabinet. That's where I would look for it first. I open it up. There's no room in that cabinet. There's not. Take a deep breath and follow the 1 in, 1 out rule. Okay? Here's the thing. Yes, there are so many spaces that could be decluttered. There are so many places that need to be decluttered. I can't do them all at one time. I can't do them all in one day. There are people, I know there are, who don't collect clutter the way that I do, who probably could declutter their entire house in a day or two. I'm going to go through all my clutter spots. Well, guess what? It takes me longer than that, and I'm more distractible, but whatever. So I am focused on that dining room table. That's my job right now. That's the one that actually matters, because that's what people are going to need to eat off of when they come over to my house the next day. That was the reason I was getting this done. Imagine that. I had to have a reason. But that was the reason I was getting this done, was because our home groups had been off for a couple of weeks, and here they were starting back up again, and I needed to have this table cleared. The game cabinet that was closed, and I know it's a disaster, but no one else does, and nobody's going to look in there unless they read my blog, which is totally a possibility nowadays. But, that's not a place that I need decluttered to be able to let my front door open and let people come inside. I needed the dining room table decluttered, not that. So that has to be my priority. So even though I open up this cabinet, I know it needs so much work. I don't even have a place to stick the puzzle that I need to put in there. I can't let myself start on that project and ignore the one that actually needs to be done that I've already started on. Okay? So I practice the 1 in, 1 out rule. There's no space in here. That doesn't mean I need to clear it completely. It just means I need to make space in here. I need to make a space where this puzzle that we definitely want to keep will go. What can I remove that will give me the space for this one puzzle? What in here, in this cabinet that completely overwhelms me and I know needs to be decluttered, what one thing is easy for me to decide needs to go? For me, it was a game that was about the same size of a box as the puzzle. This game, it was one that my kids loved when they were little, but my youngest is 9 now. And when I looked at it through new eyes of what one easy thing could I remove, I went, yeah, they're too old for that. Why do I still have that? And I took out that one puzzle and that one game. It was Buckaroo, which they used to love when they were little. It's this plastic thing. It's not really a board game, but it's like this plastic horse that you put on this stand, and then you stack it with all these different supplies that a gold miner would need, I guess. And at some point, somebody puts too much stuff on there and the horse bucks and everything goes flying. And they used to love it, and it was great. But that game could go. I didn't have the time to go through and make a decision about everything in that game closet or game cabinet, whatever. I just needed to remove one thing or enough to make space for the thing that I knew I needed to keep. Okay. And then go back to the dining room table, which was what I actually needed to be decluttered. Does that make sense? Okay. That has to be my focus, not getting everything perfect, not getting everything completely, done top to bottom. I would love for every last space in my home to be completely decluttered so that my guests could walk anywhere in my house without my heart starting to go thump, 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 thump. I hope they don't open such and such. Okay. But at the same time, if I waited for that to happen, I might never open my front door. So it's better for me to declutter a visible space than it is for me to have perfect cabinets. Okay. Okay. I hope that makes sense. I would love to hear your experiences with this. Positive, frustrations, whatever you have. I'd love to hear from you. I also love, like I said, this is an answer to a question that I get a lot. So I know I don't always answer them right away because, I get overwhelmed and just kind of pick one that appeals to me at the moment. But if you have questions or if you have thoughts on future podcast ideas, please go to your email and just send me an email at aslobcomesclean@gmail.com. I am letting you know that I am planning 2 more podcasts before I take a break for the summer. I am a mother of 3 and I like to spend my summers at the pool. And I don't like to spend my summers thinking about the business of blogging, which I know it sounds like all I do is just talk into a microphone for 30 minutes and then put up a quick post, but it's actually a full-time job. So just letting you know that I am taking a break this summer so I can be completely and fully engaged with my children. If you want to be sure that you don't miss anything, because I will occasionally put something out because I just can't help myself, make sure that you either or both subscribe to my email newsletter. Just go to aslobcomesclean.com and look in the header and you can find my email subscription page there. You can also go to aslobcomesclean.com/connect and find me on all my social media channels because I will be much more likely to be around on social media than actually, posting full-length blog posts and podcasts. Also, make sure that you subscribe in iTunes, and I would love it if you left a review. So thanks for joining me, and I will talk to you next week. Oh, also one thing too, don't forget that Teaching Kids to Clean is on sale through the end of May for $3 using the code TEACH. That ebook has lesson plans and ideas for teaching your kids basic cleaning skills, as well as printables that you can print out and give your kids as much independence as possible in these tasks. And there are different printables for different age levels. Thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you later. Bye.